From new technologies to great discoveries, today we leave for a trip to the future. This journey is the opportunity for us to find out what innovations are being or about to be made by men and women who decide to move forward. With a common desire to revolutionize our societies, they all work on innovations that will have real consequences on our daily lives. Thanks to their ideas and determination, our future looks brighter, smarter, and more sustainable. They are the shapers of tomorrow. $130 billion pieces of clothing are produced every year, and many millions of tons are thrown away. The textile industry is now the second most polluting sector in the world. The use of chemical products, water pollution, bulk transport, improper working conditions for employees. This harmful impact on the environment and populations is often brought to our attention. So how can we make clothes without harming the planet? What surprising resources are waiting to be used to make fabrics out of them? What will the clothes of the future look like? Awen de Laval is achieving the feat of making clothes out of lotus, while Anku Damascu is creating an incredible textile fiber made from milk. Carmen Hijosa is a pineapple leather goods designer who wants to make plant leather alternatives more accessible. And we'll take you to meet Jason Chen, who uses coffee grounds as a clothing deodorizer. Plus, there's Pierre-Damien Berger, a futuristic designer who's impressed the whole world with his connected clothes. These people are all brimming with ingenious ideas that can bring a new ethical and sustainable face to the way our clothes are manufactured. They are the shapers of tomorrow. In order to produce more sustainable clothes, we must look for new materials, and researchers have found some of the most effective solutions within nature itself. Indeed, our oceans and ponds hide natural raw materials that the general public don't even know about yet. We'll first head to Asia to uncover the secrets of a plant with surprising properties. For many centuries, Cambodians have been growing lotus plants, which are considered sacred. They use the flower, the pistil, and the seeds, but leave the stem to decompose in the water. They don't believe it to be of any use. However, Awen de Laval, a French telecommunications engineer, has picked up on the potential of this stem. He has decided to take up an ancestral technique of transforming these stems into fabric.
Traditionally, these women would collect the fruits and leave the whole unused stem in the water. And some of these stems are 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meters long. And they're 3 to 5 meters in length. And they just leave them in the water. It's a huge waste.
But these stems contain a hidden treasure. Around 30 extremely fine, soft, silky fibers. The technique for weaving these fibers has been passed down in Burma for centuries. But Awen de Laval has revived it in modern times. And after 5 years of research, he's improved the quality of the thread. Awen's innovation has also having a social impact. His aim is to provide jobs for hundreds of poor countrywomen to free them from the shackles of marriage in a region where domestic violence is rife. However, when the project first started, it wasn't easy to find spinners to extract the thread.
They know the lotus well, but they know you can't make silk out of it. It doesn't make thread. So initially, it was very difficult to find spinners who would agree to work with us because they didn't believe in it at all.
Here is the first spinner to have taken on the challenge in Cambodia.
At the start, she was only partially motivated. But she played along, and now she works at a good pace and has found a technique where she can spin 5 lotus stems at the same time. And now, the thread she produces is generally of very good quality.
The next challenge, being able to dye this fiber with natural plant-based colorings without adding any heavy metals to preserve the ecological nature of this product.
We use many different types of wood from the forest. For example, this type of wood gives a yellow color. And this type of wood produces a chocolate color. We use quite a lot of fruits, like this fruit here, which the Cambodians love. It has little red seeds, which gives it a nice Bordeaux red color.
Arwen de Laval sent some of this precious thread to be examined by the French Institute of Textiles and Clothing. Elisabeth Govart, a textiles engineer, is studying the lotus for the first time, and what she discovers is a real surprise. The lotus is the first natural microfiber.
A microfiber, as its name suggests, is a micrometric fiber. It has quite a small diameter, almost a micrometer. A microfiber is 10 times smaller than a hair. It's great simply because all these little fibers offer different properties in terms of softness, comfort, and breathability.
So the lotus is the only natural microfiber that we know about. The others are all made synthetically. And to demonstrate the difference between the two fibers, Elisabeth Govart is subjecting them to a water absorption test to see which fabric absorbs water best.
The lotus microfiber is great because it has a great ability to absorb water. That means that when you're wearing it, the product will be very pleasant to wear, very breathable, and very comfortable. A real feel-good feeling, unlike a traditional polyester, which through its lack of breathability will grow moist if you move around a lot.
With a shirt made from lotus, any sweat will be absorbed and released much quicker than with a synthetic shirt. After a day of laboratory tests, the results are clear. Lotus fiber has qualities that make it an exceptional fiber, and its mechanical strength means it can be worked with on an industrial scale. This is the news Arwen de Laval has been waiting for in Cambodia. The results of the test encourage him to keep improving the quality of his lotus fiber. But he's already come a long way in 7 years. Shana Ang, a professional weaver from a family of weavers, was the first to work with Arwen de Laval. It's a difficult task given how extremely fine the threads are.
When I told my parents I was going to weave lotus, they said that's absolutely impossible. And that's what I thought too. Initially, I was very angry with my boss because he kept asking me to start again. I didn't know how to weave this kind of thing. I couldn't do it.
It was a huge undertaking, and an undertaking with people who didn't know anything to begin with, because it was brand new. So there was some hesitation at first, and we had to push everyone a little. And then, day after day, we started getting satisfying results.
The rareness of this fiber makes it an expensive product. Lotus jackets can cost between $3,000 to $5,000 and are sold in the most luxurious shops in the world.
We aim to continue lowering the cost to make it more competitive to other high-quality natural thread types. Silk is still 4 times cheaper, so our aim is to get it down to a price that's almost as competitive with silk. If we manage that, I'm almost certain that we'll start selling it like hotcakes.
Arwen de Laval is currently looking into collaboration projects with big luxury brands. He then hopes to set up several other weaving workshops in Cambodia in order to keep helping the inhabitants of the country he holds so dear. But the lotus isn't the only natural treasure inspiring innovators to create new fabrics. Another natural raw material is sparking their interest, but this one comes from our oceans. We're heading to the Chilean coast of Patagonia in the southernmost part of Latin America. This is where Steven was born, near Puerto Varas. In the last 20 years, the many lakes and fjords in this area have become the second greatest salmon farming location in the world. Last year, 500,000 tons of salmon were processed and packaged in state-of-the-art factories like this one here. Steven is a renowned designer who works around the world. For 4 years, he's been coming here regularly to do his shopping. Not for the distinguished product that will soon be shipped off by plane to Japan and the United States, but for the skins, which pile up in their thousands on a daily basis in these crates.
As soon as I saw it, I had an instant sort of aha moment that could be identified with something that is highly desirable, that is something that is highly premium, something that is eco-friendly, and something that is very innovative at the same time.
This waste product has become a gold mine for Steven, who buys it at a ridiculously low price.
If I don't take the skin, they basically leave it in a bucket like this all together, and it decomposes, and it turns into like an oil substance, and they sell that by the ton. So for them, it's a very low value byproduct of their industry. So what I do, I come here and I rescue it. And what we like to think is that when I rescue it, I'm rescuing it and turning it into something that's more valuable. So it's very important that each skin is perfect, that it has a nice texture, that it does not have any cuts or anything. So I literally extract each individual skin one by one.
His idea is to transform this salmon skin into top-of-the-range leather by using this traditional tannery. The process used for tanning salmon skin is almost exactly the same as that used for cow skin, sheepskin, or pigskin. Once the fleshy residue has been removed, the skins, mixed with mineral substances, are spun cold for 4 days in a drum. This step is essential for softening the leather and making it rot-resistant and insoluble in water before it's dyed, flattened, and dried.
In the very beginning, when we first started tanning the leather, we would have to come in at night, or maybe on a Saturday, or maybe when the bosses aren't around, and very secretly, very quietly come in here and run the salmon leather, sort of as a pet project. And eventually, little by little, we started coming out with better and better material, and we were able to convince the owners to let us process more leather and let us sort of take up a little bit of their production time in order to develop this new material. For this plant to be maybe the first plant in Latin America and South America that produces very high-end product leather material that's exported to our premium market, which is something that was unheard of for a company like this.
Steven is a firm believer in the future of this new leather. He's even transformed his house into a sewing workshop.
The leather itself is very strong. As you see, salmon, they swim around the earth, and then they swim up the river, they bounce off the rocks, and eventually they die the same place where they were born. So that quality, the strength of their skin is translated into the leather. Another great thing about this leather is how flexible it is. And for example, if you want to make an iPhone case or something to cover your smartphone, these have some complex curves or small areas. This leather is very forgiving in that way that actually turns a corner really well. So as you can see how I wrap it around the cell phone, that this texture basically hides the natural creases that are created. It's flexible, it's very tough, and it's very easy to work with.
For now, this is his main product, woolen slippers with salmon skin soles, knitted and assembled by 30 women in his workshop, while respecting ecological and social values.
It's a great advantage being able to work from home because I can look after my children. It's often quite difficult to get someone to look after them, so this has obviously changed many things, being able to work from home and earn a second salary on top of my husband's.
So really it's about developing a strong, eye-to-eye, person-to-person, equal-to-equal relationship with each one of our artisans. We never think of them as just workers or hand labor. we were able to turn the discarded material, the garbage, into something that weighs more per kilo than the actual fillet of salmon. And not every trash can be upcycled in that manner, but I think that's the goal.
Stephen has realized before anyone else that using the byproducts of aquaculture is still in its early stages. Indeed, for the first time 2 years ago, global fish farming production, weighing in at 66 million tons, exceeded that of beef at 63 million tons. The potential for this new leather is therefore huge. And the biggest reservoir for this trade can no doubt be found in Asia, like here in Thailand, where people are crazy about tilapia, the most consumed fish in the world. Much like Stephen, Anchali, who lives in Bangkok, has realized that tilapia skin can do more than just end up in a bin or deep fat fryer. In 2009, this stylist found a way of dramatically increasing the value of this raw material, which has the same properties as salmon.
The skin normally for the cow skin at one, the layer put like this. But the fish skin, they make like this. This one, we can put the sharp skin like this and put the, so that one, this one cannot throw away.
Anchali uses tilapia skin to make shoes. They can cost between 80 to 90 euros a pair and are custom made for a clientele who are very fond of originality.
He said, how come this one I eat it and throw away the skin? How can you made it for this skin to this one?
Italian and Malaysian wholesalers have just contacted him about developing this new market.
I cannot receive the big order because I did not have my factory by myself. If that one who deal with the factory, who already have the factory, they have the machine or something, he buy just only the material and try by themselves.
Not all fish can be tanned. However, whether it's the skin of salmon, tilapia, or other fish like cod and Nile perch, this new sector has some exciting times ahead of it. Fish skin isn't the only product from the sea attracting the attention of inventors. Other ocean treasures like crustaceans can be very useful for making shoes. In Hendaye, in the Basque region of France, a nautical clothing and accessories brand has actually replaced some of the plastic materials used for manufacturing anti-skid shoes with crushed oyster shells. Behind this amazing innovation are these little balls, which are dyed to match the original design.
This granule here contains 15% oysters and 85% normal SEBS, which is a thermoplastic. We're using two different colors, but that's a purely aesthetic choice. With the green granules, we inject the sole section, which gives the product its adhesive character, and the black section, which forms the shaft of the product.
18 months of research and a multitude of tests were required to develop this recycled shoe. This product, which is aimed at the general public, costs less than 10 euros and can be used for surfing, paddleboarding, and windsurfing, is just as effective as its PVC competitors, but has a much more eco-friendly footprint. After the oceans and water sources, let's get back onto dry land to discover how nature can help tomorrow's designers to make leather and textiles. We'll first head to London, to the Royal College of Art, a university dedicated to art and design. This is where Carmen Hijosa has successfully managed to transform pineapple into leather.
This textile is called Piñatex. It's a natural, sustainable textile which is made from pineapple leaf fibers. It is very versatile. It can be made into bags, shoes, furnishing. When I thought about making Piñatex, I thought about leather.
The idea of producing a textile like leather didn't strike Carmen Hijosa by chance. Because before she turned her attention to pineapples, she worked in the luxury leather goods industry for 16 years. Back then, the only thing she cared about was the quality of the skins. But it was during a trip to the Philippines, a leather-producing country, that her career took a radically different path.
So in the 90s, I went to the Philippines, and my role was to upgrade the leather industry for export. So I went into in-depth looking into what leather is, going into the tanneries, talked to the people, and I realized that leather is not a very sustainable product. It's really polluting, there's a lot of heavy chemicals, there's very long processes. I really didn't want to use leather anymore.
Chrome and many other chemical products are used for tanning and contribute greatly to pollution. They provoke allergies and can also be carcinogenic. These ingredients, often dumped in rivers and nearby tributaries, pollute groundwater tables and endanger the workers who handle them. Here, leather production also entails a colossal waste of water. Tanning 1 single kilogram of leather requires 35 liters of water. It was while traveling across the Philippines that Carmen Hinojosa discovered pineapple fibers.
Pineapple fibers are used traditionally to make the Barong Tagalog, which is the traditional costume for men in the Philippines. And I thought maybe I could do something with these fibers that can be used as an alternative to leather.
The fiber of a pineapple leaf has many great qualities. It is strong, flexible, and very soft. So Carmen Hinojosa wondered whether it would be possible to make a leather out of its leaves, which are mostly considered as waste products until now. The idea was there, but she lacked the technical skills to transform this pineapple leaf fiber into a textile that would be strong enough to replace leather. At the age of 57, she decided to return to university and join the Royal College of Art. Combining research and entrepreneurship, she led her project surrounded by a team of scientists. At the age of 61, she graduated with a doctorate and the formula for making leather from pineapple leaves. The first step of the process is removing the part of the pineapple leaf fiber that makes it stiff, pectin. This molecule, which can be found in fruits, acts as a gelling agent in jellies. Once this substance has been removed, the fiber is transformed into a soft, flexible material that's very similar to cotton.
The next stage is to make a non-woven mesh, not unlike what felt, and this is a mechanical process. It's needles going up and down, thousands of times. All this is done in the Philippines. This is something that we do with our partners. However, whatever happens in the factory, it's really fully confidential, so I can't really say much more.
This mechanic assembly of fibers is therefore what's known as Pinatex. All that's left to do is coat it with lacquer and pigment so that it resembles real leather as much as possible. This last crucial step is the only obstacle preventing Carmen Hinojosa's material from being completely environmentally friendly.
There is still one thing that we have to, and I'm working at, is that Pinatex is not 100% biodegradable. At the moment, we're using petroleum-based dyes and top coating, but I'm already preparing proposals and starting to work with scientists to develop a fully bio-based formulation. So then I hope in a year's time, Pinatex will be fully biodegradable, which is really what we want.
Until she's able to find completely sustainable solutions, Carmen Hinojosa will continue developing her production chain. She prefers to use farmers' cooperatives rather than huge multinational food processing companies to develop a fair trade program. And after a gargantuan effort, she's established a virtuous circle. Pineapple leaves are now profitable thanks to the extraction of their fibers. Meanwhile, the waste from this process is transformed into fertilizer and will eventually produce biogas. Nothing goes to waste, and each stage provides a source of income for the cooperatives. This well-oiled economic and ecological system is starting to bear fruit. The production of Pinatex has already reached 8 tons per year. Carmen Hinojosa hopes to climb to 20 tons by 2017. Because demand for it is growing heavier, this alternative to leather therefore seems to have a great future ahead of it. Producing without polluting and with previously untapped materials like these pineapple leaves is now a reality. But hiding in our pantries are other unexpected treasures that can be used to create fabrics that are less toxic to our health. In Germany, one designer has turned to milk and its properties. Let's head to Hanover. This is where Anku Damascu has developed a 100% natural and ecological thread made from non-food milk.
My great-grandmother was a milliner, so I've been immersed in this world from an early age. At the age of 16, I went to the United States to live there on a dairy farm. After high school, I went to Japan, a country that has fed deeply into my inspiration. Then, when I came back to Germany, I decided to launch my own clothing brand, which I hadn't planned to at all.
Selling these clothes enable her to pay for her 6 years of studying microbiology and genetics at the University of Göttingen. At the end of her course, Anku Damascu decided to combine fashion design and microbiology to create a new fiber, an entirely natural milk fiber. Making fabric from milk was not a new concept. The first conclusive industrial attempts date back to the 1930s. It was an Italian chemist, Antonio Ferretti, who carried on the work that a German called Friedrich Toltenhaupt had done during the First World War. Within this merciless competition, the Italian was the first to successfully produce a milk fiber. But his manufacturing process didn't take its environmental impact into account. Acetone, formaldehyde, sodium hydroxide, and sulfuric acid were being used in huge quantities. What's more, the thread was of poor quality and would often break or change shape in wet conditions, so it had to be mixed with other fibers in order to be used, like wool, cotton, or viscose.
The manufacturing process took 60 hours and required the use of many chemical products. And I wanted to leave the milk in its natural state, and that's indeed where our innovation lies. We use 100% natural raw materials. The process is 1,000 times simpler than before and only takes 5 minutes at most.
And the raw material is in ample supply. In Germany alone, 2 million tons of milk are disposed of every year because it's unfit for consumption or simply not sold.
I'm currently implementing, for the first time in the world, a system for collecting non-food milk. Until now, it didn't exist. I collect this milk from 3 suppliers: farmers, creameries, and supermarkets who are disposing of their expired goods.
Won over by this initiative, Silke Seni, a dairy producer based near Hanover, has agreed to let her farm be part of this pilot collection system. Anku Damascu rewards Silke's ecological efforts by buying her non-food milk from her at 4 cents per liter.
When the cows are unwell, we give them treatments, which can end up in the milk, so then we have to throw it away. So it is much better if we can use it to make something else, like fabric or non-food products.
But don't worry, cow illnesses and the treatments they're given for them won't be found in the milk fiber because in order to produce it, the main ingredient is isolated: casein. Milk is a mixture of water, fats, sugar, and proteins. 82% of these proteins are casein. So, in order to produce milk fiber, the casein must first be isolated. Then you add acid to the milk, like vinegar, for example, to break down this protein. Its molecules then separate from the liquid matter. Once isolated, this matter is dried to a powder form. In order to be spun, this odorless powder must undergo a series of transformations. First, it is diluted in a bit of water. Then it is mixed with some natural ingredients which are kept secret. However, Anke Damascu has agreed to unveil part of her recipe. To obtain a natural yet strong milk fiber, she adds some casein powder and vegetable proteins, which then modify the texture of the fiber. Once heated and pressed, this paste-like substance is ready to be spun by the machine. This fiber is much more environmentally friendly to produce than cotton. According to this microbiologist, overall, to produce 1 kilo of her product, she only needs 2 liters of water, whereas the same amount of cotton requires 10,000 liters, a natural plant product that's completely edible. And to prove it, Anke Damascu tastes it for herself.
Yes, of course you can eat this fiber. Can you give me some, please? It's 100% natural. I always say you should try things once, but with this fiber, you can try it as many times as you like.
Hallo, grüß dich. So unerwartet, ich hab dich noch nicht gesehen.
Now it's time to test this fiber's mechanical properties to see whether it will make a fabric that's soft enough to fold and strong enough not to tear. The results are positive, as this thread's strength is equal to that of wool.
The principle may seem very straightforward, but the difficulty lies in the smaller details. It's really a huge challenge to make a textile fiber from 100% natural raw materials that you can wash, iron, and wear every day.
According to the inventor, milk-based clothes can be used like any other piece of clothing, but once thrown away, they'll have the advantage of biodegrading in nature after 6 weeks. To her knowledge, and after 5 years of research, Anke Damascu is the first person in the world to have achieved this feat. Two-fold satisfaction is key for this microbiologist fashion designer, who's now transforming the material she's created into a clothing collection. Anke Damascu has therefore successfully produced a completely natural milk fiber, but buying an 100% milk dress comes at a hefty price.
Until now, our small production volumes have meant that we have to incorporate other raw materials in our clothes, like this one, which uses viscose. Now we produce enough fibers to make a fabric that's 100% made from cow's milk. It just depends what price the client is prepared to pay.
A new promising sector is now emerging. Instead of individual clients, textile manufacturers could become her main client.
In the long term, there is also great potential within the car industry or even the medical industry. The fiber can be used as a medical bandage, which reinforces our willingness to help people. And it's an application that's particularly dear to me.
In the meantime, her top-of-the-range clothing collection is being sold here in a showroom, as well as on her online boutique. Each dress costs 200 euros. Many women are already opting to wear this brand, much like Anke's associate, who regularly wears milk-based clothes like the one she's wearing for this photo shoot, in preparation for their next publicity campaign.
It's very pleasant to wear. You get a feeling of softness, like when you wear silk. But here, despite the heat from the projectors, I still feel cool. Like I just said, you really get a great feeling when you wear this dress.
This 100% natural comfort may become very trendy, thanks to the Hollywood celebrities who are already wearing her creations.
I don't feel like I'm working because I'm having so much fun. For me, it wouldn't be fulfilling to do the same job every day. It would really bore me. And I think it's great to be constantly faced with new challenges and have the chance to expand your business. Being able to change things in the world gives me enormous pleasure.
This year, she hopes to use 6,000 tons of milk in her production chain. Compared with the 2 million tons thrown away in Germany every year, Anku Damasku certainly has plenty to spin with. And so it is possible to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, producing in a more eco-friendly way, whilst also recycling our waste. Some innovators are going even further by bringing us clothing with amazing superpowers, as is the case with a beverage that we consume on a daily basis, coffee. Each day, we drink 2 billion coffees around the world, and in so doing, generating astronomical amounts of coffee grounds. In France alone, 600,000 tons of this residue created by blended coffee is poured directly into our bins each year. However, this byproduct has the ability to eliminate bad odors, and can therefore be used as a natural deodorizer. On the island of Taiwan, Jason Chen discovered this and has invested over $2 billion in research and development to try and integrate the deodorizing powers of coffee grounds into the textiles he produces. It is a virtuous innovation and an alternative to active carbon, which is what's currently used in clothing textiles to absorb bad bodily odors. The difference being that carbon is produced for that very purpose, whereas coffee grounds are a waste product found in abundant quantities. He came up with the idea by chance in a cafe in the capital, when a customer asked for some coffee grounds to absorb the bad smells in his fridge.
So suddenly in my mind, I think, okay, coffee ground can take away the odor. Why I just come back and why I just try it, maybe in the textile?
It's here, in his research laboratory, that we are able to discover how coffee is able to soak up bad smells by watching coffee grounds under a 200,000 times magnified microscope.
We found the coffee ground inside huge pores. Then in our environment, the huge particle, the smell is come from particle. People using the perfume. If the sunshine come in, you see the perfume and you see the particle in the under sunshine. Then the particle can come in the pores. We have the attractive from the pores. Then the particle come to attractive it, get it. So the smell will come up, take off, catch up.
The smelly particles are constantly circulating in the air. When they come into contact with the cavities inside the coffee grounds, they become engulfed in it and remain trapped. And thus the bad smells disappear. The problem is, after around 6 months, they reappear. Jason then observed that the coffee cavities contained oil, and he realized that by extracting the oil, the bad odors could be more sustainably trapped, and the deodorizing powers of the fabrics could last forever.
This is the bad odor.
In this laboratory, 4 biologists regularly checked how effectively different coffee dreg fabrics are absorbing odors by trapping them in test tubes with different bad smells.
And we put our coffee fabric in this bottle, and we will detect the concentration change. After this test, we can read the data from the computer, and we can see this blank. The concentration is 1,700, and this bottle with coffee fabric, we get the data is 345. So we know this fabric decrease the concentration of the bad smell.
Of our 4 worst bodily odors, coffee grounds can reduce the smell of urine, the most persistent, by 60%, and the smell of feet by 95%. Each day, 500 to 600 kilos of coffee grounds are collected in cafes around Taiwan and brought here to the top floor of the company.
When you collect from the coffee house, you must wait 2 days to dry it. Otherwise, they will have a lot of material inside, and the smell was not so well. So even we collect the coffee ground, we need to keep fresh. That's a very important process.
To avoid industrial espionage, the rest of the process remains a secret. The Director of Communications has agreed to explain to us that the coffee grounds are added to a plastic-based synthetic fiber.
So we use this coffee ground to make this with PET bottle. Here is a PET, so we make the PET master batch plus the coffee ground to make this Escafe master batch. We add more, like the coffee ground inside. And then it's not normal anymore, so it becomes Escafe fiber.
This roll, magnified by 200,000 times, shows under the microscope that the coffee grounds are present all along the fiber. Here is the laboratory where the new fabrics made with coffee grounds undergo a series of tests to check their waterproofness, their solidity, and their wear resistance. It's really quite torturous.
Every day we have 30 custom at least, all the different kind material.
Some of these new fabrics are covered with a fine fatty layer to make them waterproof. And since Jason doesn't like to throw anything away, he makes this fatty film from the coffee oil he previously extracted from the coffee grounds. To demonstrate how wonderful his invention is, Jason always takes pleasure in giving this demonstration.
This is the tool I make myself. I design it, and we call the magic cup. 2 fish. This is to show you water not in and highly breeze. So bubble come up. That means breeze. We make exercise, bingo, bingo, jumping, jumping. It's a happy fish. Why they can breathe and why the water not in? Because we have the special film. They have a micro-porous film. Then you can take it out. Comfortable. And dry, dry, dry.
The sales of fabrics containing coffee grounds are now exploding, and many huge brands are coming back for more. The clothes of the future will be made with as yet unused natural materials, or even with recycled waste. But they will also have innovative abilities and properties. Could we soon be talking about smart clothing that can take care of us? Pierre-Damien Berger is a fan of winter sports, but more importantly, he's a scientist who's passionate about new technologies, and particularly communicative clothing. In order to optimize his sporting performances, stay hydrated, and avoid fainting, he has developed a t-shirt that collects and analyzes his sweat.
So that's 20 minutes of skiing, 20 minutes of effort, and 20 minutes of sweat. So today this t-shirt I'm wearing, thanks to the sweat sensors, gives us all the information the sweat can provide. The sensor is built into the inner membrane of the t-shirt. This information is transmitted by wires, which are all these gray lines, and they connect to a backpack at the back. It is situated between the 2 shoulder blades. It integrates all the electronics. It's a small electronic chip that analyzes all the signals from the sweat sensor and sends them directly to my watch or even to a smartphone.
The software that analyzes the data is still to be developed, but the system that's been integrated into the t-shirt is already up and running thanks to a dual innovation.
So the first piece of technology is like blotting paper. So this one is quite easy to put on a t-shirt. The second piece of technology here is this electronic part, which you assemble onto soft substrate and can place on as thin layers, which actually enable you to pick up this information and send it back to the electronic system.
How does it work? To find out, we've come to the CEA Leti laboratory in Grenoble.
Here's the t-shirt that I had on in the woods earlier, which contains the sweat sensors that enable us to measure the quantity and quality of sweat.
This is where they've been developing the sweat pump. To help explain the system, the inventor has rebuilt the basis of what's happening on a miniature scale inside the t-shirt. The syringe filled with water delivers drops at the speed at which the body sweats during moderate exercise. As the blotting paper slowly gets soaked in water, an electric signal sends information about the quantity of water lost over a given time by lighting up a diode. Another sensor measures the type of sweat based on the concentrations of potassium, calcium, and sodium it contains. By combining this data, we can determine the sportsperson's levels of fatigue.
It informs the person in real time, while they exercise, of their ion levels and the quantity of fluids they've lost.
So thanks to my t-shirt, I'll know how much water I need to replenish after exercising and the type of water or drink that will provide the substances I need to recover from said exercise. The actual origin of these developments came from a demand from high-risk occupations, firefighters and police officers, etc., who need to know their own fatigue levels and stress levels in order to be able to carry out their missions as long as possible.
Fatigue and stress are a daily issue for firefighters in Paris. When exposed to fire, their body is put under real strain. Sylvain Liu specializes in creating talking sensors. He has produced a smart hood and has come to present it to the firefighters.
This hood is a normal hood, except it contains physiological sensors.
All the sensors are fixed in place, except the clip, which has to be attached to your ear.
You just need to put it on your left earlobe.
Sylvain then asks him a few questions in order to configure the system and set a personalized alert.
How tall are you?
182 centimeters.
182 centimeters. Your weight?
93 kilos.
93 kilos.
The aim is to monitor the firefighter's health throughout the operation. The test will be carried out during a training session in the fire container. The firefighters will stay in there for around 20 minutes, surrounded by toxic fumes, which could ignite at any moment. Everything is controlled, of course, but when the temperature climbs to around 200 degrees, the body is constantly at risk of overheating. On the outside, each movement and each heartbeat is recorded, analyzed, and then interpreted in real time by the software.
What you can already see here is a data collector. It collects all the data from the firefighters. Here we've just got one firefighter, but we could have up to 8. You can see there are different physiological constants. The skin temperature, the hood temperature. We can also see the heart rate, and we can also tell whether the firefighter is moving.
Inside the container, the temperature keeps rising. At the end of the ceiling, there are peaks up to 400 degrees. The software indicates that everything is going well.
Practically speaking, how can we use the software in the field?
There have been cases where firefighters have left their intervention and half of their equipment have been burned. That's an instance where we can tell them to come back before they even encounter a problem.
At the slightest alert, the indicator changes from green to red.
You can see here that the firefighters appear to be in a green zone. That means their physiological constants aren't exceeding any limits. So there's a really smart unit hidden within this software.
The doors are finally opened. The firefighters finish extinguishing the fire and getting rid of the last toxic fumes with a large stream of water.
We saw that while the fire container was shut, there was a real jump in temperature, whereas you stayed at a normal temperature. We also observed that your heart rate increased when the temperature rose, but it didn't exceed the physiological limits. Our decision-making assistant recognized that everything was okay and that the operation was well managed and under control.
We've come to Nîmes. This is where Sylvain and the Body Scenes team developed the Smart Hood. Sylvain is in charge of the software that interprets the data transmitted by the hood.
What's very exciting about this project is that there's a human connection with both the firefighters, but also with the physiology researchers. Initially, I came from a computing background, but now I know much more about the human body, and I can say that with this software, I'm now able to save lives.
The key device hidden within the hood is the oximetric clip. The clip records a person's heart rate and the oxygen levels in their blood. It sends two signals, red and infrared.
We'll fit it onto you, and then we'll be able to visualize the signal on the computer.
The oximetric clip records two vital signs, the heart rate and oxygen levels in the blood. Each time the heart beats, the blood is sent through blood vessels. The red light in the clip passes through the vessel. The flow of light is interrupted by the passing blood. The clip records a signal, the pulse. Whereas the infrared signal in pink reacts to the passage of oxygen, which is carried by red blood cells. This signal tells us the quantity of oxygen in a person's blood.
This type of sensor is already being used in hospitals, but it's used on devices like this, which are very cumbersome and heavy and therefore not very portable. The great thing about this project is that we can process all the information and calculations in a little unit like this.
This is the Apify unit, the brains behind the hood.
Inside this Apify unit is this chip, which consists of a connector, which connects it to the sensor hood, a microprocessor, which processes and calculates the information, a GPS chip, a radio frequency component to send out information, and an accelerometer.
The accelerometer is comprised of a mobile plate that moves between two fixed plates. This system works on the basis of 3 axes. It makes it possible to monitor the firefighters' movements. If a firefighter remains immobile for 20 seconds, the accelerometer sends a distress signal. And lastly, the hood contains a heat sensor, which measures the firefighter's temperature and the external temperature. All this is contained within a talking hood. Smart clothes, whatever their purpose, will obviously continue to be developed and finding ways to help us. With all these innovations, the textile industry is heading towards a future where it will serve both humans and the planet. Thanks to the relentless work done by these men and women, real-life invention superheroes, we can reinvent the world and build a better future. They are the shapers of tomorrow.